Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson, and I'll be your guide on today's journey. We have an informative and engaging program lined up just for you.
What's really inside your child's drink? Let's count it out. A 600 milliliter soda can contain 15 to 20 teaspoons of sugar, but the recommended daily allowance for children ages 2 to 18 is less than 6 teaspoons. And that 450 milliliter box drink, it can contain 12 to 15 teaspoons of sugar. Children under 2 should have no added sugar at all. So instead of reaching for sugary drinks, encourage your children to drink water, because when you know what's in the drink, making healthier choices is easy.
Thank you so much for staying with us right here on Jamaica Magazine. Strong, balanced leadership begins with personal well-being. In that spirit, the Ports Division, in collaboration with the Newport West Police Formation, is empowering women with practical strategies to support both their mental and physical health while navigating demanding professional roles.
The word woman is often associated with many roles: mother, sister, daughter, wife, and increasingly career leader. But with the demands of modern life, success requires more than ambition. It calls for intentional care of the mind, body, and purpose.
How many of you inside here has ever skipped a meal because the job demanded it? All right. Or you grab what is closest. Patty and soda, bun and cheese, cheese tricks, bag juice, peanut, just to keep going.
For many women juggling demanding careers, taking care of themselves often falls to the bottom of the priority list. But maintaining proper nutrition is critical to sustaining both energy and leadership performance.
The truth is, if your body runs empty, your leadership, your energy, and your decision making will also run empty. Food is not just eating. Food is fuel. It's resilience and it's leadership energy.
In high-pressure environments, that fuel becomes essential to clear thinking and effective leadership. Maintaining that balance also requires a strong sense of personal empowerment and clarity of purpose.
When we are empowered, we empower others, sometimes directly and sometimes simply through the examples that we set. When we talk about empowered women, we often focus on positions, accomplishments, and titles. But empowerment actually begins much earlier than that. It begins with mindset, how we think about ourselves, how we make decisions, and how we define our purpose. Critical thinking allows us to pause and to evaluate the expectations of society, the expectation that society has placed on us. It allows us to decide intentionally who we want to become and to deliberate about how we show up and carry out our roles and responsibility.
With the right mindset, women are better equipped to navigate both professional demands and personal responsibilities.
We are women who are focused, we are driven, but at the same time, you're an individual. So don't try to be that superhero on the job to the extent that you don't pay attention to the most important support system you'll ever have in life, which is your family. The work is important, but family life is very, very important. Don't leave them behind because you are so indispensable at work.
As responsibilities increase, so too does the importance of having a reliable support network.
You need to have these one and few people that you can run to. We are women and we will be faced with challenges that we don't want to talk to men about. So you have those few people, be it a relative or a close friend, that you need to draw on because you need to have that support system. You want to be in a circle of people who celebrate you. When people celebrate you as your friend, as your co-worker, they want to see you win. But a lot of times we end up in the circle of people who tolerate you. So stop hanging with people who are tolerating you.
Leadership, as we've been explaining, extends beyond professional advancement.
Leadership is the ability to build trust. It is about encouraging collaboration. It is about empowering others to achieve more together than they could alone. True leadership multiplies leadership. The greater mission is to create a legacy. Legacy is not about rank, title. It's about the impact we leave behind. Simply put, what story will your life tell when you're gone? What impact will you leave behind?
Through health, empowerment, mentorship, and leadership, women continue to shape institutions, communities, and future generations. And as their voices and experiences demonstrate, success is not defined by titles alone, but by the impact they leave on others along the way.
Jamaica Post is committed to being your preferred logistics partner. Enjoy the convenience of 3 to 5 days for international shipments at competitive rates and next business day delivery for local packages. Take advantage of our fast, reliable and ever-evolving services: zip mail, click and ship, fast track, EMS, parcel service, registered mail, corporate mail service and private letterbox. Access customer service support and track packages online. Visit our post offices island-wide and premium service centers at select locations. For more information, go to jamaicapost.gov.jm. Conditions apply.
We look now to the East. In this episode of Eastern Roundup, we spotlight notable developments in local government, community growth, agriculture, and environmental initiatives.
Government opens night shelter and Yalas Market in St. Thomas. Fishers in St. Mary and Portland receive new boats and engines. And Port Maria Hospital recertified baby-friendly.
Hello, from Martin Bay, St. Thomas. I'm your host, Michaela Anderson Gordon. Let's get into it.
Unhoused persons in and around Martin Bay, St. Thomas now have access to safe overnight accommodation. That's thanks to the recently opened night shelter at Church Corner in the parish capital. The shelter can house 28 people. Local government minister Desmond McKenzie, who was on hand, said,
"So what we have here today is a part of a policy of the government where the poor and the destitute right across the country is given attention."
Minister McKenzie was also in Yalas to reopen Phase 1 of the Yalas Market redevelopment project. Vendors and shoppers are now benefiting from upgraded vending spaces, lighting, and sanitation. Minister McKenzie said the remodeled facility fulfills a long-standing promise to the vendors.
And I gave a commitment in 2018 that once the lease expired, then under this administration, we will not renew the lease and we'll make efforts to get the market up and running so that the vendors can sit in comfort and persons who come into the market will feel comfortable.
The Port Maria Jamaica Fire Brigade in St. Mary is now in receipt of 2 buses worth $16 million. The vehicles, which were donated by Sandals Resorts International, will be converted into ambulances to serve St. Anne and St. Mary. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says the move strengthens the brigade's role as first responders.
This is putting the brigade in a position where it will be able to cover significantly this section of the island by providing the kind of medical service that is required.
4 more fishers received new boats and engines under the government's Fisheries Production Incentive Program. The equipment was handed over to fishers in St. Mary and Portland to assist with their post-Hurricane Melissa recovery. They also got certificates for a post-harvest training sponsored by Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says the incentive program forms part of government's efforts to modernize the sector.
We are procuring 20 more boats. And just to also indicate, the original 20 is part of a 5-year program where the plan is to procure 20 each year. So at the end of the 5 years, we would have distributed 100 boats. And this additional 20 is in addition to that 100.
Over in Portland, Environment Minister Matthew Samuda says gas-powered vehicles in Jamaica will soon be required to undergo annual tailpipe testing as part of efforts to reduce emissions and improve air quality. Speaking at a National Schools Environmental Club's student workshop hosted by NEPA at Titchfield High School, Minister Samuda explained that the measure will begin later this year as part of the vehicle licensing process.
Later this year, we will start the process of implementing what's called tailpipe testing. Now, tailpipe testing is where you pretty much measure gas-powered vehicles to see what they're emitting, to see if they're in line with your existing structure. And this will happen at the time annually where you license your vehicle.
Port Maria Hospital, baby friendly 2026.
Port Maria Hospital in St. Mary has been recertified baby friendly, reaffirming its commitment to promoting breastfeeding and quality childcare. The recognition, announced during a recent ceremony, follows the adoption of the globally recognized 10 Steps to Successful Breastfeeding. State Minister in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Crystal Lee, says the achievement reflects ongoing efforts to improve maternal and infant care.
The care and well-being of all infants and children is a top priority for the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And today, the Port Maria Hospital is among the 13 facilities across the island that are now certified baby-friendly.
And that's it for this edition of Eastern Roundup. Join us next time for another informative show. Until then, visit our website, jis.gov.jm. I'm your host, Michaela Anderson Gordon. Thanks for watching.
According to the Jamaica Public Service Company, the average cost of electricity is $65 per kilowatt hour. Earning for just 2 hours a week might seem harmless, but over a month, that adds up to 6 kilowatt hours, costing you $455. Using a curling iron for 30 minutes a day, that's 3 kilowatt hours and $195 on your monthly bill. And your hairdryer, just 30 minutes a day, racks up a shocking 45 kilowatt hours, costing you $2,925 per month. Here's a tip. Unplug grooming tools when not in use and limit usage time to save on your light bill.
We know it's not summer just yet, but with rising oil and gas prices placing added pressure on household expenses, managing energy use has never been more important. Up next, we explore practical ways to reduce consumption and keep your electricity bill under control.
the heart of the Caribbean, where sun-soaked beaches meet bustling city life, this time of year Jamaicans face a revolving challenge: managing their energy bills.
Nowadays, the electricity is mostly committed to cooling, or you could say running motors. So during the summer months, there is a lot more need for cooling ourselves. So running fans, running AC, and there's a lot more thirst for water. They want their lawns to be maintained, they want their crops to stay healthy, so we use a lot more water also.
As temperatures soar, so do electricity expenses, leaving households searching for solutions. Here are some practical tips and considerations to help navigate through the heat without burning through your budget.
Many young people are not at school, and so the homes are more occupied in the summer generally. So we need to kind of encourage a culture of going outside more. And somebody may say, but outside is hot. But we have to find ways of enjoying the outdoors and not always be inside. Because when you're inside, usually what are the young people doing? Watching TV or on a laptop or so forth. And all those things will contribute to higher energy. And of course, you have to keep the room that you're in cool. And sometimes that's not properly managed.
It's vital to unplug idle electronics, as many off devices still sip power.
We think that because you press the off button, that your device, your appliance is not using power. But these days you have a lot of smart devices that have to stay alive pretty much, even though you have turned it off, and that will use power. And it may seem like a little bit of power, but we say one cocoa full basket. So a lot of these devices all combined together can cause your power to go up, your power consumption to go up.
Strategic planting can cool your home, though hurricane concerns must be considered.
We can't say you should always have trees, because there's also the concern of hurricane season. The hurricane season coincides with the summer, right, the hottest time. So we have to, in a very careful way, see how we can use vegetation in a way that can help in cooling the environment of your home or around your home, but at the same time doesn't increase the hazards that will come because of the hurricane season.
Choosing between airy linen and sweat-absorbing cotton can also boost the summer comfort.
So linen is a very light fabric, and it's very airy, especially in a drier climate, not very humid climate. It's very comfortable. Even in a hot environment, it can still feel comfortable. Cotton is the other one, and cotton is one that will absorb the sweat from your body, and then the sweat will then evaporate from the cotton fiber, and when it does, it actually makes you feel a lot cooler, almost like a natural air condition. You can isolate your movement in your home, so if you have to be indoors, stay in a certain room, keep that room cool. You don't have to keep the whole house cool. Or if you have to go from room to room, you can change the temperature to something that you can tolerate.
By focusing on key areas and making smart choices, you can create a cooler and more comfortable living space.
They can ensure that on those south-facing wall, east-facing wall, and your west-facing wall, that you use thicker curtains at your windows. Another thing to do is that if they can apply a reflective coating, like a film or even a tint on the windows, and they might be able to exploit that strategy, ensuring that you're not using a unit to cool a space that it is not sized for. Some people might choose to only have an air conditioning installed for the bedrooms. Don't try to use it to cool the bedroom and the living room and the kitchen and all the other and the entire house.
Innovative technologies are also on the market, offering new ways to manage energy usage and costs effectively.
These days, these include smart devices that have timers on them, which you can schedule them to turn on and turn off. Devices, occupancy sensors, for example, that can see when somebody is in a room and turn on. And there may be even more sophisticated ones that can sense how many people are in the room.
Managing energy bills during the summer is essential for staying cool and cost-effective. Next time the summer heat feels overwhelming, remember these tips to keep your energy usage in check.
Hi, I'm Landy. Welcome to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly platform designed to help you share your feedback, get support, and updates about land-related matters. Available 24/7, NLA Connect allows you to share suggestions, comments, and commendations, submit queries and report issues, attach files with your requests, track requests and get real-time status updates, connect with NLA client engagement officers, and provide feedback on the service received by the platform. We're making it easier for you to connect with us. You can access NLA Connect via our website, using the kiosk at any of our offices, or scanning the QR code displayed at our locations. Need any help along the way? Check out our FAQs section. It has all the answers you need in one location. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority.
We now turn our attention to health. As we observe World Immunization Week, focus is placed on one of the most effective tools in protecting public health. Let's take a look at Jamaica's immunization efforts and the vital role vaccines continue to play in preventing disease and saving lives.
Immunization is arguably one of the most cost-effective healthcare interventions ever invented. Since the first successful vaccine was developed to treat smallpox in 1796, vaccination has been preventing illnesses and deaths for millions of people around the world. According to the World Health Organization, about 2 to 3 million deaths are prevented each year because of persons taking up vaccines or being immunized. Through vaccination, smallpox was declared eradicated from the world in 1980, and that's a significant achievement. Other diseases are on the verge of being eradicated through the process of immunization here in Jamaica.
Immunization has led to a substantial reduction of illnesses and death from diseases such as polio, measles, whooping cough, and newborn tetanus. Measles deaths have decreased by almost 80% over the past 10 years, which again is a significant achievement.
Jamaica's immunization program has managed to eliminate a number of vaccine-preventable diseases over the years. These include polio, which usually left children paralyzed.
Jamaica had the last case, for example, of polio in 1982. The last case of locally transmitted measles in 1991, the last case of diphtheria in 1995, the last case of rubella in 2000, and the last case of newborn tetanus in 2001.
In 2011, the country recorded 100% immunization coverage for BCG or tuberculosis. Thanks to the expanded program on immunization EPI, which began in 1976, the population coverage against vaccine-preventable diseases remains relatively high. Under the program, immunization coverage for children under 2 years old reached 93 to 94% in 2010-2011. The expanded program on immunization provides free vaccination to children ages 0 to 7 during the routine immunization schedule of the Ministry of Health. This is an integral strategy to reduce child mortality and morbidity.
First, we give at birth up to 6 weeks of age BCG vaccine, which is given usually in the hospital setting, and BCG protects against tuberculosis. At 6 weeks, 3 months, and 6 months, babies are due a vaccine against polio, which prevents poliomyelitis, as well as the pentavalent vaccine or the 5-in-1 vaccine.
Then at 12 months of age, the MMR vaccine is administered to protect children against measles, mumps, and rubella.
At 18 months, we give the first set of booster vaccines. And we give boosters again for MMR. The children get DPT as well, which is for diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus. And then they also get the polio vaccine at that time as well.
Between the ages of 4 to 6 years, children must get a second booster vaccine for DPT as well as a second booster vaccine for polio.
A lot of these vaccine preventable diseases are actually quite contagious and can cause death, especially among our young children. And so therefore, I would encourage parents to ensure that their children are appropriately vaccinated.
In Jamaica, children must be fully immunized before entry to school, and that is usually a part of mandatory school medicals due before the start of each academic year.
They have to present the immunization record at the health facility to confirm that the vaccines indeed have been done, and if they are missing any vaccines for whatever reason, then they are provided for them at the health facility.
The immunization record is part of the Child Health Development Passport introduced for every child in 2010 to replace the immunization cards used previously. As part of its public education initiative, the Ministry of Health displays posters and other material at health centers and schools, reminding parents and caregivers about the immunization schedules, showing what vaccine is due and when. Disease surveillance is also practiced at ports of entry to combat the country's increased susceptibility to new diseases due to globalization and increased travel. Across the board, government is on a mission to improve the health of the nation by making traditional vaccines available and exploring new and non-traditional vaccines to tackle other diseases.
For example, the mitigation of NCDs like some cancers, which can be prevented through vaccination, such as the vaccine for the human papilloma virus, which causes cervical cancer, falls in line with the Ministry of Health strategic plan to improve the offering to the public. And the commitment today is that we will work to ensure that other vaccines on the market with a proven track record are introduced as part of our routine administration to our population.
According to the Jamaica Public Service Company, the average cost of electricity is $65 per kilowatt hour. Let's talk lighting. Using 4 LED bulbs for 5 hours a day adds up to 5 kilowatt hours per month. That's $325 on your electricity bill. Now compare that to 4 fluorescent bulbs used the same way. That's 15 kilowatt hours, costing you $975 per month. And with 4 incandescent bulbs also used 5 hours a day, you'll burn through 27 kilowatt hours. That's $1,755 every month just on lighting. Want to save money? Switch to LED bulbs. They use less energy and last longer.
We're at the end of today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, but you can stay connected with us online at jis.gov.jm and on our social media platforms. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching and have yourselves a great weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.